On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Trump gave an awesome speech at the Whirlpool factory on Friday, yesterday. And it was a very good speech. And I've got it chopped up. It was like almost an hour long. And I've got it chopped up into some opening remarks. I've got it chopped up into him discussing the 7 promises he made to us, the American people, and the 6 promises that he's making us for the future. Now, one thing I want to bring up is this I felt like was kind of the Trump that I remember back before he was elected. It was the guy that was stepping up for us, the guy that was stepping up for Joe Schmo, that's stepping up for the American, for the veteran, for the regular guy, and trying to help us out, trying to help stop this deep state influence, this whatever they are doing, but taking away our rights just inch by inch by inch. And finally, someone steps up and says, this is ridiculous. I'm not standing for this either. You guys vote me into office. I'm going to do something about it. He made 7 promises to us in June of 2016 before he was elected. Those 7 promises have come true, and he shares that with us earlier. Now, I look at the screen here. We've got Joe Biden of 51 years, Chuck Schumer of 45 years, Nancy Pelosi 33 years, Patrick Leahy 54 years, Maxine Waters 47 years, and Dianne Feinstein at 60 years. Good Lord. How long have these people been in office? How long have these people been telling us they're going to take care of us? Sky's the limit. We're going to help you out. We're helping you out. And slowly, the dollar is eroded in value. Slowly, manufacturing has been pushed overseas. Slowly, jobs have been lost to overseas companies. And slowly, the upper and middle class have been annihilated. And really just impoverished people that are enslaved to this system are running around. So here we have this guy that wasn't a politician. Again, I hate politicians, freaking hate them. These 6 people just represent what politicians are to me. I've never been a Republican, I never will be. I've never been a Democrat, and I never will be. But I'll tell you what, I like what this guy Donald Trump is doing for us. And he's only been in office 3.5 years, and he's done more for me in this country and you than any of these 6 people over their, 350 years together, if you put all their time together? That's an insanity. Probably not that much, 300 years, whatever. It's a lot of time that these people have wasted for us. So what did Trump talk about in this Whirlpool factory meeting? I want you to hear, because 1, I think his opening remarks are really awesome, and I think it kind of just gets the ball rolling. And then 2, he talks about the 7 promises. I think that's super cool. And then finally, the 6 new promises and what he's been doing to help us. To me, it was reminiscent of that June 2016, that October 2016, that September 2016 version of Trump that just felt like that dude that was here to help me and here to help you. So let's check out his opening remarks.
It's a great honor to be here, and thank you, Dan. Every day, 20,000 gleaming new machines rolling off that beautiful assembly line. I just got to see it. And every single one is proudly inscribed with that glorious phrase, made in the USA. Remember? Made in the USA. The duty of a president is to put this nation's own citizens first. That's why my administration swears by 2 simple but crucial rules: buy American and hire American. Washington stood idly by as other countries engaged in unfair trade practices, such as massive subsidies, currency manipulation, and, in the case of your industry and your company, the wholesale dumping of foreign-made products sold below cost for the sole purpose of driving you out of business so they could give us product at double, triple, and quadruple the price. But we didn't let that happen, did we? The last administration tied America up in one globalist debacle after another. They catered to the special interests while allowing foreign nations to siphon off our wealth, our dignity, our dreams, our money. The suffering of our workers was met with nothing but cruel betrayal and callous indifference. In 2013, the U.S. International Trade Commission found your competitors from Korea and other countries guilty of dumping washers into the U.S. market and ordered them to pay anti-dumping duties as high as 79%. But rather than pay these very high tariffs, LG and Samsung relocated production to another country, a country called China. Have you ever heard of it? And the last administration did nothing as they kept on dumping washers into the U.S. market with impunity. The Obama-Biden administration was laughed at. They were a joke, and they were perfectly happy to let China win. Your jobs disappear and your factory to close. But this time there was one big difference. Instead of an administration that sold out American workers and sold your company out and couldn't have cared less for you, you finally had a president who stood up for the American worker. On January 23rd, 2018, at my desk in the Oval Office, I proudly signed the order to impose a 50% tariff on all foreign-made washing machines. Under my administration, we're fighting for Main Street, not Wall Street. We've rejected globalism and embraced patriotism. In my speech in Pittsburgh in June of 2016, I made 7 big promises to American workers. Many politicians before me promised change on the campaign trail, only to back down in the face of corporate and international pressure. Like Jerusalem, they all promised Jerusalem, didn't they? For years and years. I did it. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. I did it. Moved the embassy to Jerusalem, making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. They all talked about it. They talked and talked and talked, and then they got into office and they didn't do it.
And that's been the case for quite some time now. Talk and talk and talk. I hear all this stuff. It reminds me of high school when they used to run for class president. And he's like, I'll put a soda machine in the locker room. I'll put a soda machine everywhere. And then when they'd get voted in, there are no soda machines and show up anywhere. Just a bunch of empty promises. Now, granted, these were the smarter kids that figured out early on in life, all you got to do is lie. No one's going to say anything. But finally, it's come to a head. Finally, many of us are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute now. I think it's time that you start to do what you say you're going to do. And these other politicians, the 6 of them that I pointed out earlier, these guys just keep doing whatever the heck they want and don't ever get held accountable. Yet Trump, every single tiptoe he makes is attacked. Everything he does is bad. It doesn't matter. He could cure cancer and they'll be like, well, you're putting people that research cancer out of jobs. It's like, I can't freaking win. So it is what it is. But talk about making promises. Well, this guy made 7 promises to us. That's not 7, but I'm doing that number anyway. He made 7 promises to us and somehow managed to keep all of them, even with all these people against him. Let's check out what he has to say about that.
But I didn't back down from my promises, and I've kept every single one. First, I promised to withdraw the United States from the last administration's disastrous assault on U.S. workers. The Trans-Pacific Partnership would have been a disaster. Would have been a disaster, especially for the automobile industry. It would have put it out of business. My first week in office, I kept that promise and canceled that job-killing catastrophe. Second, I pledged to appoint the toughest and smartest trade negotiators to defend American jobs, and I did with Bob Lighthizer and all of his people. They've been fantastic. Third, I said I would use every legal tool at my disposal to fight back against unfair trade, and I did, and I found some that nobody even knew about. Some of them were very old. They had a lot of dust on them, hadn't been used for decades and decades, but I found them. Things you could never get past today. Fourth, I promised to label China a currency manipulator, and I did. Fifth, I said we would bring trade cases against China to crack down on its economic aggression. Sixth, I committed to impose tariffs on goods to protect American jobs and stop China and many other countries' abuses under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 and Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. As your president, I have kept every single one of these pledges to the American people and to the American worker without exception. Every one has been done. Seventh, one of my biggest promises in that speech was to replace the disaster known as NAFTA, one of the worst trade deals ever made by any country, let alone ours. Ohio lost almost 40% of its manufacturing jobs after NAFTA was signed. Half of all of the automaking jobs across the state were wiped out. Earlier this year, I finally ended the NAFTA nightmare and signed the brand new USMCA agreement. That's United States and Mexico and Canada. And all of those bad things that you had to suffer with, you're not suffering anymore, because now people and companies have an incentive to stay. They're not going to be leaving so fast.
These guys have been trying to figure out how to spend our money, how to change the Green New Deal. How can I somehow tax people into oblivion? Meanwhile, Trump has actually been trying to build up our economy, trying to help build up our trade revenue with other countries, trying to create revenue streams that are legitimate, fair, and beneficial to both countries involved, or all countries involved. Prior to that, we had people that were selling this country out. These 6 people have done more damage to this country than anything that people have tried to accuse Trump of, for sure. The number of people that are trying to currently ruin this country versus the number that are now starting to wake up and starting to try to help. Well, the difference was, to me, is starting to become noticeable. I'm seeing it. This is reminding me of what I liked about this guy when he first got into office. This is reminding me of how things really got going and how Hillary lost the election. A lot of people have been worried about the polls leading up to the election. Understand, with the attention span that Americans have, really this last little bit, this last 2-3 months, this is where it's all at. Those might vote early, that's fine. We're already starting the game now. And those that are going to vote on election day, it's going to ramp up to the day of election. And it's going to continue to be that way. So Trump made 7 promises to us. Trump kept 7 promises for us. Now, the thing that I thought was cool is, on top of, just talking about ways to spend all of our money, raise all of our taxes, pretty much ruin this country like Biden's been kind enough to do for us lately from his bunker, Trump actually made 6 new promises. Trump actually talked about 6 new things that this country is going to do looking forward to make a difference for you, for me, to make a difference in our lives, to make a difference in our country, to once again put America back up to number 1 where it should be and should stay, so long as we can continue to do the right thing and vote the right guy into office. Let's check out these 6 new promises that he made for us.
Today, to define our path forward, I'm making our incredible workers 6 more promises that I will keep over the next 4 years, and I'm very proud to make them at your plant and in the state of Ohio. First and foremost, we will defeat the China virus. We're working very, very hard. We call it the China virus. We call it the invisible enemy. We call it many different names. It's got many different names, but it's bad, and we've made tremendous strides. We're attacking the virus from every angle, and through this aggressive strategy, we will win the war, and it will happen sooner than people think. We're developing a bounty of therapies such as remdesivir, dexamethasone, antibody treatments. The antibody treatments are really working out well, really well, and many more that have allowed us to reduce mortality by 85% since April. Under Operation Warp Speed, 2 vaccines are already in the final stage of clinical trials, and we'll have a vaccine very soon, I hope long before the end of the year. My second promise to you is this: we will rise from the current adversity of this horrible, invisible enemy, and we will be more prosperous and resilient than ever before. We've done things that we never knew we could do. We're building factories now. We're building plants. You'll see what's going to be happening with the job numbers very soon. We had two of the best months ever in the history of our country. And we're going to have many, many very, very successful years unless somebody comes along and destroys it by doubling, tripling, and quadrupling your taxes. My third promise is to build on these gains to turn America into the premier medical manufacturer, pharmacy, and drugstore of the world. As we've seen in this pandemic, the United States must produce essential equipment, supplies, and pharmaceuticals for ourselves. We cannot rely on China and other nations across the globe that could one day deny us products in a time of need. We can't do it. We can't do it. We have to be smart. And speaking of pharmaceuticals, we instituted 4 moves, rebates, favored nations, and other things, buying from other nations where they have the product, the same exact pill, identical, made in the same factory, for a fraction, just a small fraction of the cost. We buy from other countries as opposed to buying through this ridiculous quagmire of political scam that we've been going through for many years. And what I've done in terms of favored nations, if, as an example, Germany has a pill for 10 cents and we have a bill for $2, we institute favored nations on the drug company, we get the pill for the same amount as the lowest pill anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. To this end, a short time ago, I signed a new executive order to ensure that when it comes to essential medicines, we buy American. The executive order will require that U.S. government agencies purchase all essential medicines that we need from American sources. The executive order will also sweep away unnecessary regulatory barriers to domestic pharmaceutical production and support advanced manufacturing processes that will keep our drug prices low and allow American companies to compete on the world stage, often in the same plant. It's a disgrace. And the politicians allowed this to happen for many, many decades. You have people called middlemen. I don't know who the middlemen are. I don't know. They never say middle women, so they're politically not correct. But I've heard the term middlemen for a long time. They are so wealthy. They are so wealthy. Nobody has any idea who the hell they are, what they do. They make more money than the drug companies. You know, in all fairness, at least the drug companies have to produce a product, and it has to be a good product. But the middlemen, well, the rebate that I'm doing cuts out the middlemen and it reduces costs, and the money goes back to the people purchasing the drugs. So I have a lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you'll see me for a while. A lot of very, very rich enemies, but they are not happy with what I'm doing. But I figure we have one chance to do it, and no other president's going to do what I do. No other president would do a favored nations, a rebate, a buy from other nations at much less cost. Nobody. And there are a lot of unhappy people, and they're very rich people, and they're very unhappy. Here's my 4th promise to American workers. Beyond our medical supply chains, over the next 4 years, we will onshore millions of new manufacturing jobs across many other critical sectors that are vital to our national security and prosperity, from electronics to machine tools to shipping, aerospace, autos, and of course to iron and to steel. And we'll never forget your washers and your dryers, okay? My 5th promise to American workers is to bring back American jobs and factories using every tool at my disposal, including tariffs. I love properly put on tariffs because they bring unfair competitors from foreign countries to do whatever you want them to do. Countervailing duties and new trade deals based on the principle of fairness and reciprocity. My 6th and final promise today is to forever uphold the commitment I made from the beginning. I will always put American workers first, always. They'll always be put first. As part of this commitment, on Monday I signed an executive order to prevent government agencies like the Tennessee Valley Authority from replacing American workers with cheap foreign labor. There's a very big utility run by a man that gets $8 million a year. Would anybody in this room like that job? $8 million? $8 million a year, right? highest paid. He really doesn't work for me. I wouldn't pay $8 million. If you paid him, the president gets $450,000. I give up my salary. Nobody ever says that. I might as well every once in a while say it. I believe I'm the only president to do that. And I'm saying that's not too smart. But the Tennessee Valley Authority pays $8 million a year to the head. And after the authority laid off 20% of its American technology workforce and forced them to train their foreign replacements this week, I told the chairman of the board, "You're fired." And the firings will continue unless the layoffs are reversed and the American workers are rehired. Veterans Choice, how about that? We got that for you. So if you have to wait online for 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months, and they had to wait 2 months sometimes, if they had to wait online, they don't anymore. They go outside, they get a private doctor, we approve it, we pay the bill, and we take care of our vets like they're supposed to be taken care of. Just got a 91% approval rating. VA just got a 91% approval rating, highest ever, the highest it's ever had. And accountability, we have people that we're so scornful. They had hatred for our vets. They were treating our vets badly. Our vets have to be treated great. But you couldn't fire them. They could be sadistic, they could be thieves, they could be anything. You couldn't fire them because of civil service unions, etc. You know. Couldn't fire them. And I got the accountability, VA accountability. Now you look at them, they don't do a good job for our vets. You say, "Jim, you're fired. Boom, get out." That's the story. We actually terminated over 8,000 people that were not treating our vets well, and they were there for a long time. That sounds a little bit cold, but the truth is they got to treat our vets well, right? So they have to do it. As long as I am President of the United States, I will fight for you with every ounce of energy and strength that I have. I will be your voice. I will defend your jobs. I will stand up to the foreign trade cheaters and violators that hate our country. I will never let you down. I will have your back 100%.
I'll tell you what, out of all the people that I've heard say that to me, say that to us, this guy actually, I think, means it. I think Trump means it. These 6 people, no, I don't. Now, one thing that did come up, and this has been talked about a lot, Trump talked about how he's making some people very upset. And he was talking about it in relation to the pharmaceuticals and taking out the middleman. Now, apparently the middleman, at least here in the United States, was making a ridiculous amount of money. Trump has removed that part of the equation. And so because of that, we're going to get cheaper drug prices, which is great for everybody that's taking drugs. Fantastic. Good on you. And legal drugs or whatever, pills, all that good stuff. But finally, we've got somebody that's looking out for you. If you're one of the people that has a prescription, insulin, for example, or the EpiPen, those things were ridiculously expensive. He's removed that. He took the middleman out that was making gobs of money. So Canada maybe pays $10 for the EpiPen. Here it's like $1,000. That's being changed. And if you're a parent that has a child with severe allergies, you have to have an EpiPen at the school, at your house, at any place you could ever go, in the car, and they expire like every year. That's a lot of money to have to pay. These things are changing. So if I'm interested in someone, I probably want this guy that seems like he's coming through on the plans he made. Now, the fact that he says he's hiding out, I don't know. Is there a risk to his life right now? It could be. I mean, you look at Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. I don't just think it's because he's lowering the drug prices that he might have a target painted on him. But whatever the case is, I don't find it too difficult to believe this guy has a target painted on him. So, of course, I keep him in my prayers. I hope you do too. I'm hoping this guy will continue to take us towards the next step of freedom, a better world, not just a better America. Certainly, make America great again, absolutely, or keep America great, but also a better world. We got other countries, England, and we got Australia. We got people breaking away from China right now. There's a lot going on in this world that I think is steps towards freedom for the planet as opposed to just freedom for us. So I think this is way larger than just the United States. But, and as many have said, and this is super important to remember, the fate of this country will decide the fate of this planet. It's up to you, it's up to me to make a difference. and we have to make sure we do that. You know somebody that might like this? Share it with them. You know somebody that's maybe open-minded a little bit because of what's going on? Maybe the Portland riots finally pushed them over the edge too, like a lot of people? Share this with them. Like, subscribe, all those things. It makes a huge difference for those of us that are trying to make a difference in the world. I hope you guys like what's going on. I think we should give this guy a chance. We'll see how it plays out. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.